Welcome to Plantish Live. I'm Nina Curtis. My co-host Cecibek Rando and I go live Tuesdays, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we always look forward to you joining us for conversations that are thought-provoking, inspirational and edutaining. We always have the most, in my opinion, wonderful guests that come on to join us that are Beck and I often get the opportunity to try out their products so we can share what we think with you. We usually do this later, creating content that shows you how you can use the products. Today, I'm excited. We're going to be talking with Denis Vidmar. He is the founder and CEO of the Mushroom Hub. So we're going to be speaking about mushrooms and more, and we're going to get this party started. And my co-host, Chef Cecibek, is there somewhere in the world. He'll be coming in. I see the Mushroom Hub in with us. We'll be bringing Denis in just a few moments. And we'll start this party. Please put in the chat where you're tuning in from. And if you have mushrooms daily, put in 3 mushroom emojis. If you're like, what? I barely have mushrooms on the regular, just put in 1 mushroom emoji. Let's see who's eating their mushrooms, because Denis is going to get us straight, and we are going to, before we leave here, we're going to know what we should be consuming as far as mushrooms go. I see you, Chef. I see you. You know, IG. We'll get it together. I see you. I've invited you. Let's see. I've accepted. Yeah, there you are.
Hi,
I go
Chef.
away from the screen for 1 second and bam, you're here. They can't stop us, Chef. They cannot stop us. Everyone, welcome in. Please let us know where you're tuning in from. And also let us know, are you eating your mushrooms? Because Denis is about to set us straight. Chef, have you had your mushrooms this week?
Not this week, but I will have some later on in the week. Yeah, what
I
about
know,
you?
I know. You
What are,
know, I did have mushrooms, because I'm always trying to get them. But there's so many ways we can get mushrooms in our diet today, like mushroom coffee. But Denis is going to set us straight. Hello, Denis. How are you?
Hi, doing well. How are you?
Doing
Greetings
good.
from
How's Detroit?
Detroit. Is beautiful. It's up and it's the Phoenix Rising, and so every week, every month, every year forward, we're better and greater. And chefs from all over the country and all over the world are coming into Detroit and opening up some fantastic places that are featuring mushrooms in the most incredible way. So I'm very excited to be here to share a high quality ingredient, and it is the most important ingredient of our time, which is of course mushrooms and fungi.
I love that. Fam, if you're just coming in, we are speaking with Denis Vidmar. He is the founder and CEO of the Mushroom Hub. I'm going to tag it in our chat. Please let us know where you're tuning in from. Chef, we haven't spoken to Denis since 2022 on Clubhouse. Can you believe it's it is 3 years. Denis, we can't let this happen again.
Hey, 369 is the magical power of the universe, so let's keep it going.
Yes. So let's get into this, fam. Grab your beverage, whether it's a mushroom coffee, I don't know, a mushroom matcha. Mushrooms getting into everything today. But Denis, we've been on this journey. We spoke with William Padilla Brown a few weeks ago from Mycosymbiotics, and he's got his festival coming up. We spoke with Paul Shapiro, who's here where I'm at in Sacramento with the Better Meat Company, working with Rhiza, mycoprotein, and then we spoke with Ofek Ron, who has the plant-based salmon Oshi company that's using mycoprotein. So there's so many dynamic things going on, but we think you are the mycologist and aficionado of mushrooms, and you break it down so well. You grew up on mushroom farms with your dad from all over the world, China, Vietnam, Bosnia, the U.S., of course, and Canada. How has this shaped your idea and your perspective on food, health, and our environment?
I'll be honest with you. My growing up, the most powerful thing that came out of that is knowing that I want to grow up doing what I love. You know, when I was going to school and teachers would ask me, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" I said, "I want to be like my dad." They said, "Oh, you want to be a mushroom guy?" I said, "No, I just want to jump out of bed and love what I do." And that was the baseline and foundation in regards to the kind of life that I wanted to lead. And it just happened that, growing within the industry and then going into the industry sort of with one foot tapping in, it just pulled me in. And ever since then, now, slowly coming up to 20 years to be part-time and then full-time in the industry, that has just changed the way that I think, changed the way that I believe our world will think in the coming, years and decades forward. Like you mentioned, all the companies prior, we're not even at the tip of the iceberg. Like the solutions that are going to come out of the fungi kingdom will transform our planet into something beautiful, something majestic, something so powerful. And the more that people realize that mushrooms are the ingredient that they should be consuming on a daily basis, the sooner we'll get there. So
Yeah.
I'm very excited to be part of the whole industry as a whole, because we're all doing something particular. I call us we are the walking fungi, and so we're all doing our part into getting the mushroom and fungi kingdom out there.
I remember when we were on Clubhouse, we probably spoke like 3 hours with no breaks. And we've got about 45 minutes because we know you're a busy man and it looks like you're in the Mushroom Hub, but we're going to get, as much information. So fam, if you're joining with us, I see people are saying hello, hello, welcome in. Please drop your questions. Let's keep this very engaging. Dennis, we have, an engaging community as we did on Clubhouse. This time we get to see a little bit differently, but please drop your questions now, because how often do you get to speak with a CEO, the founder of a company, up close and comfortable? And this is why we do Plantish every Tuesday. So at what point, Dennis, did you decide, wake up and go, that's it? I'm living my life. I'm loving what I'm doing. I am going to open the Mushroom Hub in Detroit, of all places.
Well, the journey started. So I used to be the mushroom guy for Whole Foods Market in Michigan, and then eventually spread to Midwest region. And whenever I would deliver to Whole Foods my mushrooms, I started at Whole Foods with 3 SKUs, so 3 different types of mushrooms, and then that grew to over 33 SKUs with 30 plus varieties of mushrooms. So if you bought mushrooms at a Whole Foods between 2011 and 2017, 100% of what you saw there was me delivering it either 2-3 times a week. So when I would finish my deliveries, it was very important for me to meet the people that are engaged with the ingredients that they pick up. And so I was the only company at the time to have actually my cell phone number on the actual labels of every package, so people would get me directly when they're calling the company. And so every store that I would go to, at the end of the day, I would be cooking in that store. So I set up a demo, and I would be just, shooting out my mom's favorite shiitake dish that was something that people, we're battling against convenience, right? And convenience has only increased over time. So how do you get a mom with 2 screaming kids to pick up a mushroom, which she now has to think about what to do with? So I would go into the store, set up this little sheet of paper, 7 ingredients, and I would outline the aisles in which those ingredients were, and I would pick up most of those ingredients, put it around my demo shelf, so that when a mom would pass by and I would see, like a microwavable dinner of like 7-10 minutes, I was like, look what you can do in 7 minutes. And so I show her, I feed the kids, and the kids, minds are blown. Oh, Mom, this is perfect. And so the more that I did that across the region here, the more I realized, I was like, oh my God, there should be a mushroom hub in every Whole Foods. Because Whole Foods at the time, this is pre-Amazon, of course, was a lot different in consciousness, let's put it that, in consciousness, than today. So I actually wrote an email out to Whole Foods back in 2016, 2017. I said, hey, guys, I think there should be a mushroom hub because I'm meeting your clientele, and your clientele is eager and wanting, and their desire for mushroom is massive. That every new Whole Foods that you open up, there should be a segment, there should be the mushroom hub where people walk in and they're just entangled in everything mushrooms, right? From fresh to frozen to dried to marinated to pickled, you name it, right? And they're like, oh, Dennis, you're too far off from this. This is, farther in the region. Well, it just happened, I went back home and I was like, I'm just going to do it. It's running a sale mushroom company and working with individual farms and sort of promoting the small farmers of the region. And then I opened up my first mushroom hub back in 2014, so 11 years ago. And so ever since then, I've been twisting the model. So from 2016 I was like, I'm going to put it in a downtown setting. So I opened up a location in downtown Windsor in Little Italy, sphere where, to the right of me, I had 10 incredible restaurants. To the left of me, I had 10 incredible restaurants. So that was sort of the first visionary component of the mushroom hub. And I was like, okay, it's a mushroom deli. You walk in and all you see is like beautiful colors of different mushrooms, both ethically foraged and cultivated. And ever since then, I've been twisting the model. I opened up this store in Midtown Detroit, actually just post-COVID, if you want to call it post-COVID, June of 22, and we've been here ever since, twisting the model. I'm working towards a model that will work in every community. Right now, I'm in a university setting, so our model twisted a bit to feed off of the community setting. So it's an ongoing. I see it twisting more in the coming decade. As my goal is, how can I make the most powerful ingredient of our time the most convenient ingredient of our time as well?
I love that. So we're going to have the potential for franchises of possibly the Mushroom Hub in the future.
I have put it out there to a couple of folks when they said, well, what are you building? I said, I'm building the McDonald's of mushrooms. And now I'm waiting for the perfect model in order, because, people like deep fried food. People like so like, for example, today I've got deep fried food, but it's deep fried in avocado oil, right? And so I want to twist this ideology of that soul food style, that convenience, that taste profile of what a lot of generations grew up with in multiple cultures across the globe, so we're going to get to the model where it's like balanced out, where it's like healthy food and like my chili super healthy, right? And then you're like, okay, I've got deep fried oyster stew. Well, you can if you want to put it. So a little bit for every person enjoying a different boat.
I love that. Chef, I know some questions are coming in the chat. Let's jump on those so we can keep everybody informed and get their answers, especially if they have to leave us. We will be
Absolutely.
posting the replay as we do every week. So if you do have to leave, don't get anxious. We'll have it for you later on in the day. Thank you, Chef.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Just want to say welcome to Tara and Keisha that just joined us. From Tara, we have a question. Are there accessible education materials regarding micronutrition based on individual genetic background?
Sorry, say that again. You broke up. Is that in the chat? Maybe I can actually read it also.
Okay, yes, it's in the chat right here from Tara Lee 9700.
Uh, I believe Tara, I believe we're just getting into that. When I tell people, I have folks that have been buying mushrooms for me for 14 years, right? I live a fungi-based lifestyle. Means that priority of my food is mushrooms, and then it's vegetables, legumes, fruits, and that's it, right? I consider mushrooms to be Earth's original meat. And I also find that we each have an association with different mushrooms. So certain people will say, oh, I'm allergic to X kind of mushroom. Well, I always want to dive into the rabbit hole of what that means. So, for example, one of the number one sold mushrooms on the U.S. market today is the triple wash sliced white mushroom. That mushroom can contain anywhere between 81 different chemicals applied to it. So as you who think that you can consume fresh mushrooms, which you should never consume fresh mushrooms, you should always cook your mushrooms. If you open up that package and you consume that product while you wait in line to pay for that product, you may actually have a reactionary component to that one of the 18 to 21 different chemicals that were applied. And that's a Penn State formula that was actually borrowed, I will say, from the Chinese mushroom industry. So I think we're just now getting into the levels of depth of, the genetic sequencing and figuring out, are there certain strains, certain kingdoms. A lot of people, and of course we have to blame COVID. COVID did something to the mushroom industry where it put everything into one box. So when people think truffles, when people think chaga, when people think cordyceps, they all think, oh, mushrooms. Well, chaga is not a mushroom. Cordyceps are not a mushroom. Truffles are not a mushroom. They're all part of the fungi kingdom, which is also part mushroom, right? So they're all sisters of one another, but they're not actually, they're all in their own sphere. So I think that in the next decade now, with companies like Better Meat Company and all the other like microtechnologies and the guys out in Europe that are doing their thing, we're soon going to come to the level of having the ability to offer consistency in various products to say, okay, now we can go down the rabbit hole of doing those testings. But I think it's still pretty early. The West is just catching on. By the way, we are just catching on to something that's been around for centuries in Asia, in different parts of Asia, and actually different parts of Europe as well. We are actually lagging, like North America, US, and Canada are lagging so far from the Mexicans. For example, the Mexican tradition of mushrooms is incredible. These guys have per capita the most consumption of wild mushrooms in the Americas. And yet today when I'll go down the street to a Mexican restaurant and say, hey, can I have mushroom tacos? They're like, mushroom on taco? Don't be crazy. I was like, what? I was like, your ancestors ate mushrooms before they ate any of the meats you're putting on there, but they're disconnected. And I think it was disconnected for a purpose, for a reason, because you have this one ingredient which we have the most in common with, the one ingredient that breathes like us, exhales like us, takes in vitamin D through sunshine like us. And it is the one ingredient which, when people, and like I said earlier, I have folks that have been buying from me from a decade plus. I have, I always talk about Juliet and Dennis because when I met them, they were eating 8 ounces of creminis a week. Today, Juliet and Dennis buy 3 to 5 pounds of mushrooms a week and they're in their 60s, right? They sleep better, they feel better, they think better. They're like, the energy component overall it's there, it's in the DNA. The lion's mane mushroom and all the other mushrooms, but I'll put lion's mane out there as it. I believe lion's mane is the one mushroom, if we truly believe in brain health, it is the one mushroom that we're going to consume. Every American will consume a pound of lion's mane a week if we truly want brain health. Well, lion's mane mushrooms have molecules which we have receptors for in our brain. So it's literally a key and a lock, right? And so you're taken back. I get goosebumps when I think about that because you're like, oh my God, there's this ingredient that naturally grows in our environment that we are literally associated with together that has been shunned away from us, right? So I think we're just at the starting boom of mushrooms. Mushrooms are everywhere, but they're technically not everywhere yet.
I love your excitement, your explanation. I'm hungry. I'm kind of salivating over here as you talk about lion's mane and others. And I've heard you say, fix man, fix the planet. You've already touched on this, but I want to kind of bring it around so people, food for thought, we like to say here in Plantish. Why are mushrooms so powerful and the solution in fixing man, and then we get to fix the planet?
Well, it starts from within, mind, body, and soul. And so soul's a very big part of that. A lot of us are battling a variety of different traumas, through generational traumas. Generational traumas are passed on. What I don't deal today, my son is going to deal. And so I have to work on those traumas today for myself to make sure when he's understanding, he's just shy of being 3 years old, I don't want to burden him with certain things that I know eventually will pop up from time to time. So now we delve into the psychedelic world of mushrooms, right? So a completely different family of mushrooms which contain psilocybin. There's over 200 strains of fungi that contain psilocybin, and it is the food that is able to fix people with trauma, that is able to fix people with PTSD, with depression, with anxiety, and I mean the list is just starting, right? So and the most beautiful part of it is that we don't even know. When somebody says, "Oh, you know, we've delved into 11% of mushrooms on the planet. Well, hold on a second. How do you know it's 11%? Some people are saying 17%. Some people are saying 8%. And here, so Fungi Foundation is doing a beautiful thing where, and they outline this highly, and they're down they're in South America, and so every time you walk outside your door and there's a pasture of grass patch or a forested area, every time that you enter it, you have an opportunity to meet a fungi that we've never seen before. So they are popping out everywhere. Just last year alone, I think we found 4 different fungi that eat plastic, right? And so, the years going forward, who knows how many hundreds of thousands, millions of different types of fungi we're going to find that are in some way, shape, or form going to fix us and all the problems that we've created. Going back to the concept of fix man, fix the planet, we are the root of every problem we have today. From overconsumption with the plastic packaging, to overconsumption of destroying the destruction of our soil, to overconsumption of general health, right? We spend trillions of dollars on battling the top 23 diseases that plague every single community in North America and then throughout the world. And the common denominator is vitamin D deficiency. Yet not a single doctor, when you enter, says, hey, how many mushrooms do you eat? Or do you spend 20 minutes in the sun every day? Those are not the conversational pieces. In addition to it, when you go for testing, you have to pay for a vitamin D test. Hold on a second. So the most important hormone, vitamin D is actually a hormone. So the most important one that is the common denominator, we're not even testing it for voluntarily. In my opinion, when you walk into a hospital, there should be a thing there where you pop your finger in there and like there's a big board, you know, and there should be like fireworks to see if you're vitamin D deficient or not, right? But that's like, we're so far from that, right? And so I strongly believe that, and I mean, I'm off topic now, but I strongly believe that we're coming towards a realization that once people choose to work with mushrooms, that they're gonna, you have to dedicate, you have to make a decision. It all starts with a decision. So I do believe that once we normalize this concept with psychedelics and get the right people within the industry and we start fixing our communities from within, that we're gonna start fixing man. And once we fix man, we're gonna start fixing the planet as well.
Yeah. And you're so on topic because, you know, one question can lead us to what is really important. And this vitamin D thing, and we know I work in healthcare, so we're not going to go down that rabbit hole, but you bring to that point, and that was one of my questions. You talk about vitamin D because it is so important and it does impact, and, you know, it's in every, as you said, culture. So 2 questions I have. We know you're in Detroit. We know we can order some mushrooms from you, but how do people in their city, community find someone like you locally where they can get good mushrooms and then get enough? And what is enough a day, a week, etc.?
That's a loaded question.
I know. I like giving you the loaded questions because you are the one that gets to answer them. I mean, and have kind of a round just to get people thinking, like, if someone hasn't had mushrooms, they don't eat mushrooms. They look at them and go, I don't know what to do with it. I don't know, that looks kind of weird in whatever store they're in today. How do we just, you know, just right off the top, what can we leave people with, food for thought, that they can go to their store today, or at least this week? We're at Tuesday. At least this week, go to the farmer's market or have a source to start with for more education.
You said it. Farmer's market is number one. There is a mushroom a person in every community across, you know, Instagram allows us to see that. TikTok allows us to see that. If you go to your farmers markets, and there are plenty. If you're in big cities, there are multiple farmers markets. In one of those markets, you're going to find a local mushroom guy. You want to make sure that the person is that loves what they do. Then you're going to know, you know, I'm the first consumer of all the products that I put out there. And so I want to make sure that when you go to bed, you're better for it. And so the products that you get from me, you're not washing them. They're not sprayed with any chemicals, rodenticides, pesticides, insecticides, you name it. It's all coming from third-party certified facilities. Most are certified organic or grown organically. Those are key formats. If you're buying mushrooms at a Whole Foods or at a Myers or any of the big chain stores across the country, I would choose organic when you can, and whatever mushroom you see in the display of your favorite store, and if you've never tried that mushroom, my suggestion to you is buy that mushroom today, chop it up in a bowl, olive oil, salt, pepper, mix it up real nicely. Don't over drench it, but just enough to be covered. On parchment paper, 1 inch apart, 375 in the oven. And after about 10 minutes, start watching her. In about 10 minutes, try one and see how you like it. Try it at 12 minutes, try it at 14 minutes, and you will understand that every single mushroom that you consume, you can do the exact same profile test. But when people come in additional note is that I always tell people to go towards their favorite recipe. So everybody says, oh, my grandma made a perfect, pasta white button mushroom dish. I said, perfect. So do the exact same thing with oyster mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms, maitake, lion's mane, whichever one you want to talk about, and do the exact same process and see how that reverts back to what your taste profile. I like simplifying the option of the oven because it truly allows you to see in what direction the mushroom is going to go. Because every mushroom, when it's cooked, when it's first boiled and then cooked, it's different taste profile than just cooked. It's different taste profile when it's in oven baked, and it's a different taste profile when it's like deep fried, right? And so you truly have an opportunity to test the different varieties of opportunities that each mushroom variety is going to bring to you. But when people tell you, and I have a lot of people who say, oh, I don't like the texture of mushrooms. Well, don't say you don't like mushrooms, because you've just eliminated 150 choice edible mushrooms that are available on the market that you may not like one of them, but you may like 130 of the other ones, right? And so I encourage people to always try to find the simplest way of cooking the mushroom, because then at that point in time, you're going to understand that, oh, this is something that I can do quickly. So in regards to the amount of mushroom that one should consume, that's really...
minimum. Let's say minimum.
I would say a minimum a pound a week. A pound a week, whether it's one variety, whether it's multiple varieties, you should always. Today's a beautiful sunny day in Detroit. Everybody that walks through the store today, I'm going to encourage them, first expose the mushroom to the sun 30 minutes prior to cooking her. She'll gain enough vitamin D. Most varieties that I have today will for your treatment, right? So if you can, go out in the sun, please put the sun, right? Chop her up, cook her up, and have your truly deliciously healthy ingredient, right? Meal, that is. I consume, yesterday I ate 2 pounds of mushrooms. The day prior, 3 pounds of mushrooms, right? But I work with mushrooms. It's a little bit different, right? When the first morels come of the season, for example, there's a couple of months back in March, the first 6 pounds that came, I ate 5 of them, right? Because to me, they're like, morels come in my mind, natural vitamin D, because all wild mushrooms have more nutritional benefits than any cultivated mushrooms. That's hands down, right? An oyster from the wild will always have more nutritional benefits than the oyster that's cultivated, because we can mimic the environment as much as we can. There are certain things that we simply cannot mimic, right? And so, but when morels are, I get a text saying, hey, Dennis, we got morels. In my mind, it's vitamin D and iron. That's your, go-to for, like, when you buy dried morels, in 100 grams of a dry morel, you get 67% of your daily iron intake and close to 80% of vitamin D. Just off of the 100 grams of morels that you would dehydrate in water for 30 minutes and then just pan fry until the water's out, add a little bit of olive oil, garlic, finish it off with green onion, and you've got 11 minutes, such an incredibly nutritious ingredient.
You're making me think of all the things you're sharing, and I think mushrooms are so adaptable also. We've spoken in the past with Keisha from the mushroom meat company. And, you know, the way she has made it accessible for you to have it in a burger form or a steak-like form in the sense of how it pulls and all, there's so much accessibility out there. And then you've got the 50-50 burger that's been going on for years, where it's 50% the meat you're eating, usually it's ground meat, but then they've gone to have contests where then 50% is mushrooms. So it's not like you just have to, anybody listening or the replay, it's not like you just have to take this mushroom and you put it in the oven like Dennis has said, and you really don't know what to do. And for your family, because I think that's where it gets a little bit harder, like getting your family to embrace it. You can save money to a degree. You can enhance, put fiber in your meat, which meat does not have. There's so many ways to combine it and work with it in. As Dennis said, you do have to, you know, I don't even think experiment. You can just Google 50-50 burger. You got a recipe right there. Multiple recipes, right? You've got these chefs going hardcore trying to win just the accolades of they got the 50-50 burger, and you'll have deliciousness. So I really, because you talk so much, Dennis, about rightfully so, accessibility. You know, it has to be accessible. It needs to be foreign. And can you just define for a minute what cultivated mushrooms are versus mushrooms that have been foraged or coming straight from nature? Because I think people don't also know, and sometimes your farmers markets have cultivated, or a lot of times they do have cultivated mushrooms.
Yeah, so we have different levels of cultivated mushrooms. You know, now everybody's starting to grow mushrooms at home. They'll grow mushrooms in pantries, in their garages, in their, you know, greenhouses. To each all, great. In my opinion, mushrooms should never be grown at your house. Mushrooms' job is to fruit and give out as many to sporulate the world. So when you're growing that blue oyster on your kitchen counter, it can actually have negative effects for you, your family, your pets, your children. That's that one cultivate angle. Then you have the certified farmers, the ones that are getting now into the industry of growing, you know, 100 pounds a week, 200, 500, 1,000, you know, and then you have the mass growers, which are doing 1,000,000 pounds a week. I know a few that are doing 10 million a week, that of all different types of varieties. And these mushrooms are coming. These mushrooms are the ones that you're going to find at a Walmart, at a Myers, at a Kroger, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's and such. And these are certified mushrooms. And so when I say by certified mushroom, means they're coming from a third party tested certified facility, and they're either organic certified, they're GAP certified. There's so many certifications out there, including a kosher certification, right? So it depends on how far deep the farm will go into in order to get the certification. Obviously, the higher you go, the less probable chance of you getting, you know, a product that could be contaminated or such to cause you actually harm. So just this morning, for example, we had a recall of mushrooms. Now, this is the other part of the mushroom industry in the U.S., and that a lot of Americans don't know is that, and I won't put a percentage out there, but I'll tell you that it's more than half of all shiitakes that you're consuming today in the United States are actually grown on logs that are actually made in China and shipped over to the United States, and then by various different growers are just grown. They're fruited in the United States, making it an American product. Although the actual substrate logs have come, they were put together, they were pasteurized, inoculated, and even partially incubated in China and other Asian countries, and then imported to the U.S. And so a lot of stores, you know, I was at Kroger a couple of days ago. Sure enough, it's a Chinese-grown shiitake, and there's certain strains that, you know, shiitake has multiple different strains that certain growers will grow based on their setup, based on the environment that's around them, etc. So, and then we have the next step, which is my worst, the one that I have a very strong negative effect towards, and that's when a product is shipped to us. So it's grown in Asia. It is then frozen, it is vacuum packed, and then shipped over to the North American market. Then it's unthawed, unpackaged, and given to the American consumer for next to nothing. So a local farmer Like me, for example, here, if I can go to the Asian market and buy that product for 20% of what my price is, but it doesn't support any farmer in the region, doesn't support any other, it matters how much your money stays in your community. That's such an important role that we should all be thinking about is when you spend that $100, how much actually stays in your community. And so you have people, for example, especially on the green movement, who are like hardcore, save the planet. And then they say, well, this enoki mushroom is $2 and I'm going to buy it because it's cheap for me. But that enoki traveled 7,000 miles before they grabbed it and traveled another 20 miles to their home. And I have a big problem with that. That's something where I hope that the current administration, the past administration, and the future administrations are truly going to look at it and say, hold on a second, we have enough farmers in the United States to satisfy the need for what Americans need. We shouldn't be allowing certain products coming in because those products are actually, the way that it's done, mushrooms are so incredible that, so unfortunately, because of this loophole, you have recalls. For example, enoki mushrooms have been recalled. This morning, there was another recall, so that'll make it close to 30 recalls in the last 3 years since we've spoken on enoki mushrooms that are grown in Asia and shipped here, and that you can pay for, $1.29 for a 200-gram package, right? Stay away from those. Even if you're gonna deep fry them, you can. It's listeria we're talking about. It's salmonella, serious potential diseases that can harm a family.
Bam, I don't know if you've heard this information anywhere else, but you're hearing it here. And when we post the replay, please share this out because we know that mushrooms are king and queen from the fungi kingdom. And there's even a restaurant called Third Kingdom in New York serving delicious mushrooms. And no doubt they're, getting pristine mushrooms. But we really need to know this because people will take mushrooms, and in the world we are, in the internet, and people are throwing enoki down. I haven't had enoki in so long because they're always on recall. So even if I go to my local Asian market and they're there, I am not picking them up. I am not making them. I know how delicious they are, but this is why we do Plantish Live, Sesabek and I, why we bring the guests we bring on, because they're talking real information. We hear recalls about all kind of foods. You can just scroll and every third, fourth is going to be a recall on some food, but we're not hearing this about mushrooms. So, Chef, what are your thoughts right now? Because I just got a dose, and I'm taking copious notes while I'm trying to multitask here.
Wow, I'm over here taking mental notes. I'm like, whoa, this is such an informative conversation here, and our community thinks the same. From Noni and from Chris, they're enjoying this conversation, and yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much, Dennis. Would we like to go into the quick fire?
Yes, let's do the quick fire with Dennis because he's like this.
Absolutely.
He's just like pop, pop,
Absolutely.
pop,
It's
pop,
just,
pop.
it's so quick. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna have to rewatch this as I do all of our sessions and just go through with my notepad and just take some notes. It's been so informative. So many gems have been dropped. But yes, Dennis, we have a quick fire here for you. You can answer these questions in a couple sentences. And yeah, the first one that I have for you, what's your favorite exotic or wild mushroom and how do you love to cook it?
Shiitake, maitake mixed combo on the cultivated side. I like cutting them into bits and pieces, putting them down in my pan, adding the bottom of my pan, covering it with water, putting it on high heat, let it boil out, mix the mushroom as they're boiling out. Once the water is all evaporated, I push it to the side. I add olive oil, I add diced garlic, let it catch a little bit of warmth, catch a little bit of color on the garlic. Then I mix the mushrooms with the garlic. I like my mushrooms medium rare, so I will put them about 8 minutes in, diced green onion, and that I will eat as is. I will put it on a sandwich. I'll put it in a wrap. I'll put it on top of a pizza. Like versatile, and you can do it with any mushroom. Shiitake maitake just happens to be one of the two mushrooms that are pretty much always in my fridge.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is what you call a mushroom master right here. Did y'all just heard that? No stuttering. That was just straight off the dome. That's what
Oh,
I'm
I'm gonna
talking
make
about.
some of that today. That's like every time you.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. You got me in the quick fire. I feel like you just asked me a question. Okay, so next question. If your fridge only had three mushroom varieties in it, which would they be and
If my
why?
if my
If
fridge
you,
had only three
yeah,
varieties,
if you had three varieties of mushrooms in your fridge, which ones would they be?
maitake, shiitake, and morels.
Okay,
Morels
okay,
on the forage side.
okay, okay, perfect. Next question. Finish this sentence. The most surprising thing people don't know about mushroom is.
How connected our big pharma world is with mushrooms. We are not even we can't even comprehend how many drugs out there that are given to us by doctors actually started from a compound out of a mushroom. So when people walk through the door and there's five women too that say, "Oh, I hate mushrooms," my question is always, I was like, "Hey, have you guys ever do you know anybody that has had a transplant, an organ transplant?" They're like, "Yeah, my aunt, my uncle, my father, etc." And I would say, "Well, are you aware that they're alive today because of a mushroom?" So you may not like a mushroom, but you should never hate a mushroom. You should always respect the mushroom. Because, for example, the mushroom Tolipocladium inflatum actually has a compound in it that allows our bodies to accept a foreign organ. So it's a compound that allows us to accept it rather than reject it. And so we're all touched by the fungi kingdom in one way, shape, or another. We just can't comprehend how deep this root structure is compared to where we come from.
Mm, mm.
Wow.
So many gems just dropping, and I'm just like, whoa, another one, another one, another one. Okay, okay. I'm coming back. Next
Years of
question.
curiosity, it is years of curiosity. I'm curious about mushrooms so much that every day I like to know more. So I appreciate it.
Man, that's beautiful. That's so beautiful. Next question. What's the most unforgettable mushroom dish you've ever had?
Ooh. Oh man, I have one every week. Like chefs will do some crazy stuff. Actually, last week, Chef Jay is switching. He's going from potentially a burger joint into a pizza joint, and he made me a maitake pizza, which I actually posted. Just blew my mind away.
Wow.
And so, like to the point where I woke up in the morning and I texted. I was like, "Chef, I could probably have 7 of those today." Like it was just a perfect combination of things coming together. But I'm all about simplicity. A lot of the chefs will try to make faux mushroom meat, right? Everybody's going towards, oh, oyster mushroom tastes like this, oyster mushroom tastes like that, right? Well, hold on a second. First came mushrooms, then came everything else. So isn't the meat replicating, mimicking the mushroom, right? And so for me,
Thank
for
you.
example, these deep fried foods that are available, you should just take an actual mushroom. Don't wash it, right? Just wipe it down if whether it's a white button cremini, oyster, shiitake, and just deep fry it by itself. Pull it out, salt, pepper, and just try it. That simplicity will blow my mind any day of the week with any type of mushroom that I'm consuming.
Mm, love that. Wow. I'm hungry, and
What's
it's
your
lunchtime.
time?
It's lunchtime here on the East Coast, so yeah, I'm gonna open up my fridge and see what I have in there. Hopefully, some mushrooms. Now, last question I have for you: if you could collaborate with any chef alive or from history to create the ultimate mushroom experience, who would it be and why?
Oh, Anthony Bourdain for sure. I think
Mm.
he ate everything and anything, but I think having that kind of a cultural mindset is everything to truly develop into. He said the best conversations are over a plate, and that's 100%. When we take back our kitchen tables at home, is the day that our communities are going to start to really bounce back. And we really need to understand how important it is to get back to that kitchen table, to get back to that, to shun. Convenience should never enter the kitchen. It should stay on the outskirts. Of course, yeah, you get, my dad used to have convenience my mom, never used a microwave in her life. And so but my dad got a used microwave just for his popcorn, right? But in his garage, was where the convenient food was. And it was like something that you would do once in a month, but it was in the kitchen where you get to really dive into conversations of day to day, but also dive into conversations of tomorrow. And so it's the learning concept of what happened at the kitchen table that I truly, that's where Anthony Bourdain for me. And again, I don't know anything about him as much as I do in the little clips and things that have inspired me to say, wow, how important it is to share that good meal, to have that good ingredient that will just, wow everything in balance.
Wow. Wow. Beautiful. Denis Vidmar, ladies and gentlemen. You're the real deal. Thank you so much. You did amazing.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's one last point, if you don't mind me sharing this.
No, we're not through yet, for sure. Go ahead.
You started the conversation with mushroom coffee, and there during COVID, a lot of marketing companies dove into mushroom sphere because it was popular, it was cool. So a lot of the third-party marketing companies latched on. So today, when people are spending a lot of money, a lot of them are spending money with companies that are third-party marketing companies that have no association with mushrooms whatsoever. They're actually hiring somebody to put together a product that they're then consuming. What they fail to see in that relationship is that a lot of those companies are profit-driven, right? And so what you want to make sure is that when you're spending that 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, $100, that you're actually buying real ingredients that are coming with that product. So I'm not going to put any company names out there because a lot of people do that, but I will tell you that dive into the understanding that consuming fruiting bodies of mushrooms over time has always been more beneficial than any of the other components. We have a lot of North American companies which are using fillers in the production of their products, so you're actually consuming 10, 20% of a mushroom rather than 100% of what you're paying for. So any mushroom in you is better than no mushrooms, hands down. But if you're choosing for your health to utilize a mushroom for a specific need, then you should make sure that that $20 is going the full right in of a return on investment. So know your ingredients, know where that product is coming from, call the company and ask the right questions, or find somebody like me, and I will gladly take anybody's call. I will gladly answer any email or any message in regards to certain companies in different regions of North America that you should be sort of eyeing into if you choose to do this. And additionally, my second point to that is I'm a big I believe in mushrooms, and I believe they're the solution to every problem we have. And I believe in each own ability to do what it needs to do for us. So when we consume mushroom products, which contain mushrooms, which take our system, our immune system into different directions, I find that to be a more stressful situation for your body than a pleasant one. So if you're choosing to add mushrooms to your meal, to your health, to your overall diet, always choose one mushroom at one particular time of day. So if you want energy in the morning, consume cordyceps or chaga or lion's mane. If you want overall respiratory and immunity support, turkey tail midday. For nighttime, what I've been using, reishi is known as the mushroom of longevity for thousands of years, utilized in China and other Asian cultures. But since in October, we had the big announcement of the power of lion's mane for sleep. And actually, I'm a direct consumer of this product now because in October it came out that lion's mane are not only good for your memory, for your focus, for your brain fog, and all the rest of the memory component. It's actually beneficial for us to go to sleep, stay asleep, and go back to sleep once we wake up. And when I heard that in October from neuroscientist Dr. Robert Love, I said, okay, I consume lion's mane, but I don't consume enough of it. So I turned to a tincture. It's a 100% fruiting body-based tincture by a company out of Oregon called Fungi, one of the top companies by Jason, somebody that you should definitely have on your channel here going forward. That I've been utilizing his tincture 5 days on, 2 days off. And I got to tell you, after that 50 a day, when it started hitting me, my dreams, my sleep is in a complete 180. And I swear by it. I swear by every. I'm got goosebumps all over the place because it's incredible the amount of return that I've got on that investment for myself. So I no longer buy the 1 ounce tincture, and I buy the 2 ounce tincture for myself. Just a couple of pointers.
Can you spell the name of the company, Dennis?
I will show you. It's called Fungi. They're incredible.
Great. Okay.
They are the only tincture on my menu. again, another, side effect of COVID. When I opened up the store in 22, there were hundreds of mushroom companies out there doing 100 different teas, tinctures, you name it. Well, today I only got 7 on the menu, because once I started diving into the rabbit hole of those ingredients, I was like, well, hold on a second. Here you are spreading the gospel of mushrooms, but you don't even know where those ingredients came from. So they're no longer on my menu because of that, right? So again, I'm the first consumer of everything that I carry, whether I make it in-house or whether I support another mushroom, another walking food, their thing within the industry.
I love that. That's why we have you here. That's why we'll get you to confirm that you will come back and join us, not 3 years from now, because that's way too long with the way your mind works. But you said something, so I want to start controversy, but you're going to clear it up. So I want to clear it up here on Plantish today, July 15. Wash your mushrooms or don't wash your mushrooms and wipe them down like you said.
So if you know the farmer, if you know their practices, you shouldn't wash your mushrooms. Mushrooms are already 85 to 95% water. When you wash your mushroom, it's going to distort its taste profile. You should never use a paper towel to clean your mushrooms. A lot of people will put a paper towel under the water sink. Mushrooms are a sponge, so they're going to take in that taste profile of anything that you're going to clean it with, whether it's your dirty rag or whether it's a clean paper towel. If you truly need to clean your mushrooms, and that's particularly with agaricus strains like Portobello, Cremini, White Button, you should put your bare hand under the water sink and just tap her slowly. And get that, peat moss or substrate off, depending on the variety that you're working with. Certified organic mushrooms, you shouldn't need to wash. Cultivated conventional mushrooms, sometimes you should. Some farms still use, unfortunately to say this, some farms do use still formaldehyde for certain areas of the farm, especially farms that are not certified. That's why the certification is so important. When you see that USDA green logo, there's a process in place to get that logo. So just make sure you're supporting companies who are going the extra mile and making sure that you're getting a product that's grown in a safe quality food environment. And that's your primarily 99% of all the grocery stores in the US, because you can't sell to those stores unless you are certified.
Right. So use our common sense, take a look at what we're working with, know our purveyor, know our supplier, talk to them even. But Dennis, I wanted to clear it up because we've got people saying soak mushrooms, bathe them, give them a spa bath. And I'm like, what are you all doing? That's killing the game. That's killing the game. So what's next for the Mushroom Hub and Denis Vidmar? And what should we be watching for, fam? If you have not followed the Mushroom Hub here on Instagram, please do so. I am not going to ask Denis to give us his phone number because that would be mayhem and he wouldn't get anything done. But you know how to check in with him. And if you watch this replay, as so many people do, as Chef and I go back and watch it, take your notes, share this out, please. We need this information getting to our friends and our families. This is food as medicine, and we need to get really clear with what is available, and especially always, and especially now. So we've introduced you to Denis Vidmar. If you haven't met him before, he is the man. He's the Mushroom Man, and he owns, CEO, and founder of the Mushroom Hub in Detroit. You can order things, you can get in touch with him, and we so thank him for our time. What is next for you, Denis? You're like, let me go. I've got things to do.
So I'm launching my style of food in Detroit in the end of August, and that is what the style of menu that I'm calling Wild About Fungi is. I'm wild about fungi. I'm going to allow people to try every single mushroom prior to them buying it. So it will be a full tasting room component, that it won't be filled with any additional ingredients other than the simplicity of mushrooms in their own self. One thing which we'll be launching later in September after our events is a fungi-based menu, which I will be shipping nationwide in the frozen goods. So it will be something where you'll be able to subscribe to receive our traditional vegan and gluten-free wild about mushroom soup, our wild cream of mushroom soup, which is also vegan and gluten-free. All of our products are fungi-based. That means that 75% of the ingredients are mushrooms or other types of fungi, and then followed in with either legumes, fruits, or vegetables.
I love it. And not right now, because I know you're super busy. I would love to do another plantish where you actually show us and talk about maybe 3, 5 of the mushrooms so that people can really see, because I think show and tell is, since I was in first grade, I love show and tell, and I think it's so important for us visually. And we can't thank you enough for what you're doing for the world, for humanity, and all the things you bring. Chef Sesabek, I'd like you to close us out. And any final words you have?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, lots to digest here. But Dennis, thank you so much for joining us here in Plantish Live. Thank you to my co-host, Chef Nina, and to the community. You know where to find us next week. Same time, same place. Have the best day. Have the best week. And yeah, see you next week.
Thank
Thank you so much.
you.
Have a great
Thank
day.
you, Dennis.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, fam. We'll see you
Bye.
next Tuesday.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. Cheers.
Bye.